So I want to give my thoughts on Saturday night's main event. I would have given my thoughts on Saturday night, but I was not feeling well and I had to actually go back and rewatch the show. So the show, was it a fine experiment? Was it a good experiment? The answer is yes and no. So I liked, first of all, the fact that they brought back Jesse Ventura as like the host, and he did some commentary in the main event, although it was funny. He was like Kevin Owens. Like, you can tell he did a little bit of research, but not a lot. Probably gave him a few notes here and there. Jesse Ventura is not watching Raw every week or SmackDown. That's obvious. But we weren't expecting that. I like the fact they brought back the red, white, and blue ropes and the classic referee gear and the classic sort of the guardrails. Like, I always love when they used to do those old school Raws and they bring back the old aesthetic. That's fun. Now, what they didn't do on this show that they normally would do with these shows is bring out a bunch of legends and have them involved in different vignettes and segments. There were some there, though. Greg the Hammer Valentine, Coco Beware. You saw it. Some were there. You know, match-wise, I think they put a few pretty big matches on the show. Sami Zayn, Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, and Cody Rhodes are both two matches that would easily have been on pay-per-view if this were the old Vince McMahon era when you had 7 or 8 match pay-per-view cards. Now we're in the Triple H era where Survivor Series has 4 matches and Royal Rumble's going to have probably 4 matches, maybe 5 at most. So, actually Survivor Series had 5 this year, but it's still not a lot. And, you know, because the War Games are going to be long, like the Rumbles are. And it seems to be the Triple H formula. So with this show, it sort of felt like just another B pay-per-view. You know, the production was, I thought, an A for the nostalgia, but a B for sort of the importance of these matches. You know, they had the WWE Women's United States title crown with Chelsea Green winning, who I think should have been the winner. I thought they made a good choice there. Drew McIntyre decisively beating Sami Zayn. I mean, that's probably not going to go anywhere. I could see Drew McIntyre and Jey Uso being the program for the next few months. But honestly, Drew McIntyre needed a decisive victory because he had lost a lot this year. Like, he really did lose a lot of matches, and he lost the Punk feud even though he looked strong in it. He really needed a decisive 1-2-3 victory. And so that was good. The Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes match was probably the best match of the night, and that one did have shenanigans. For the most part, the matches on this show had clean finishes, but that one definitely had shenanigans. Gunther, and actually, now that I think about it, part of me also thinks that, let me take that back. Gunther, Finn Balor, and Damian Priest was also one that probably was more match of the night. The Cody Rhodes match, though, with the controversial finish with the chair, it was the one finish that wasn't really too decisively clean. It was the one finish that certainly leaves this feud open for a rematch. And then in case you saw later, it was first on social media through like phone recordings, like what first started this feud. And then WWE themselves put it out. Kevin Owens came back into the ring when Cody was celebrating with the Winged Eagle. And boy, does that belt not look a gazillion times better than any of the titles they have out there now. So he comes back in the ring and he hits Cody with the package pile driver. And that's the first time we've ever seen the package pile driver actually executed in WWE. The package pile driver was Kevin Owens' original indie finisher. The one he used in PWG and Ring of Honor, way before he had the pop-up powerbomb, and certainly before he used the stunner. He had this move. And so they stretchered Cody out, which sort of makes sense because we're in the holidays now, and guys are going to be off, and they're probably going to save a lot of the big returns for the January Raw from LA, the Netflix Raw. That's going to be the next truly big show. I can imagine that Raw and SmackDown in the coming weeks are probably going to be maybe some filler episodes or at least less important episodes. I don't want to say that because I've been wrong about that before. But without question, the next big show is going to be that January Netflix Raw. Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa on that show. was absolutely like a surprising match they're going to throw up on there. But what it also tells me is that, like we talked about months ago here on this channel, the Roman Reigns solo match they were going to do at WrestleMania has been scrapped. It's gone. So they're either going to do something with Punk and Roman. They could do that if they choose to go back in that direction again. Or they could do Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu. Which, even if Roman wins that match, Jacob Fatu could be a big challenger for Roman and look strong in a match, in a WrestleMania match with him. So I'm a bit mixed about how I feel about the show, in that it felt like a house show in many ways. There wasn't a lot of gaga. And the thing about Saturday night's main event that, without question, is a staple of 80s WWF is the gaga. We have such like legendary moments like, you know, George the Animal Steel going to the Detroit Zoo. We've got Roddy Piper on Halloween with the kids and the pumpkins, and they've always had a lot of wackiness on Saturday night's main event. Now, it was a different era, but I was really hoping that this edition would sort of go back to that. At least, maybe not as, obviously the drug scene is not what it used to be, but I did wish that they would go back to that, whereas the show just had matches, so it was kind of like, the show was kind of like an example of modern WWE, because Michael Cole and the commentators did the gimmick where they made it, they explained all the storylines to people who might be new fans because they were on NBC and stuff like that. And they're going to do that again for Netflix, by the way, big time. Get ready for that. But the show was kind of like a sampler platter of modern WWE, which is more in-ring focused than it was even back then. I mean, significantly more in-ring focused. But I always felt like with Saturday night's main event, it was their chance to kind of go back and do goofy stuff. But at the same time, do they really have... Like, I was expecting at least something with R-Truth. You know, at least something with R-Truth. Even if it's one vignette, and there really wasn't much of it. The real wacky that we got on the show was Jesse the Body Ventura. Just being wacky and cutting promos about how if it wasn't for him, Michael Cole and Pat McAfee wouldn't be getting paid the money they're getting paid. Like, you know, that's just Jesse being Jesse. And I liked hearing him, but I often wondered how he was going to fit with this modern WWE. And the thing is, Jesse the Body Ventura is one of my favorite commentators, but he works best with Vince McMahon and Gorilla Monsoon. And this show did not mention Vince McMahon at all. Like, there wasn't a single mention of him, despite him being the host of pretty much all of these Saturday night main events. And Gorilla Monsoon's no longer with us. So could Michael Cole sort of become that straight man? I'm sure he would have. But Pat McAfee was there as a surprise to kind of balance out the goofiness of everything. And Joe Tessitore was also there as the host with Jesse Ventura in the little podium area. So there were things that I thought were cool that they did. It was a solid 2 hours. It wasn't as goofy as I would have wanted, but it did really feel sort of like an in your house, like a shorter 2 hour pay-per-view, like a TV special. And I hope that coming up with the next Saturday night's main event in San Antonio, Texas, with Stone Cold. No, he's not there. Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan will be all over that show. Hulk Hogan was actually at UFC walking Colby Covington to the ring. So, who came out to the ring playing Real American. So, that, it's amazing that UFC had moments of wackiness in it more than even Saturday night's main event. Anyways, I'm out, man. Okay show. Hope it gets wackier later. Good matches, though. I'm out. Let's see what happens tonight on Raw. I hope it's not a filler episode, but time will tell.